What does it mean to love oneself? There's a lot of talk out there about self-love and such. I guess I will give the conclusion first and then go from there. To love oneself is simply to be honest with oneself. The only way to love yourself is to see yourself in an honest light. For me, I spent years in self-denial. I spent many years lying to myself. I grew up in a family with an abusive father. For us, as a family, with my father in charge, it was all about image. All he cared about was that we presented the image of the perfect family. It was his badge of honor that he had the perfect family. He would say to us, his children, that it didn't matter if we had troubles. We could always go to him and talk to him, but we knew he didn't mean it, because heaven forbid if we did anything that made it look like we didn't have the perfect family. So when you're conditioned like that from birth, that you have to present a perfect face to the outside, that image is all that matters, and when you are a natural people pleaser, that can get you into a lot of trouble as far as understanding yourself. Because I was not encouraged to be real. Any honest show of emotion was to be denied and to be pushed aside because I had to always be the perfect person. So anything I wanted to do as a child, when it came to honestly experimenting with different emotions, was not allowed. I tried, but I was mocked for it. Any show of honesty on my part, whatever it was, just an honest emotion, was used to manipulate me in some way or another. And my mother, though I loved her very much, was a person who always wanted to live in positivity. She couldn't handle the heavy stuff or the negative things. So whenever I wanted to express myself, and it was what was perceived by her as too heavy, I was told, "You think too much," or "You're too moody." I was getting it from all around. Of course, my mother would go along with the narrative as well because she was abused by my father. She was carrying out his will for the family because that's what happens in these sorts of entrapments. The spouse revolves around the abuser, and that's what happened in my family. I've said this before, but young children, even though they're not perfect either, they are the most honest humans you can find. They say what they think, they do what they think. They don't know yet that they have to be cautious. They don't know what's socially acceptable. They are who they are. So when you're a young child and you're honestly putting whatever it is out there, you have to be lovingly guided in life. As a young child, I was putting myself out there in honesty, but it was quickly shown to me I could not do that. Honest emotions were brutally mocked, but fake displays were perfectly acceptable. I needed to show who I was honestly, and a parent's role is to guide their child, to navigate through these emotions and talk about it with love. But since I never had that, I didn't deal with it. So that's when I started to hide. I had to pretend. Don't do that. That's not acceptable. So everything I wanted to do, I quickly learned I couldn't do. I had to be perfect. So I started repressing things and didn't want to show anyone who I was. I didn't want to show myself who I was. I didn't know who I was. I couldn't trust myself. I didn't know who to trust. It was a trust issue. Not only did I not trust others, I didn't trust myself to help myself. So I lied to myself. You don't even know you're doing it. It just starts happening gradually over time until you're way over your head. I started lying to myself to make myself feel better. I would lie and cover things up. I can't deal with this thing, so I'll tell myself a lie. And that's how I started adding all the layers in my life. I put one on top of the other because I didn't want to deal with it. And there comes a time when you've lied to yourself so much you don't even know what the truth is. It started bothering me because I couldn't be honest with myself, and I knew it, and it was affecting my satisfaction in life. It was affecting my overall well-being because it was gnawing at me. At some point, I didn't want to lie to myself anymore, but I didn't know how to get out of it. For me, the day I looked in the mirror for the first time and said, "I don't care how much it hurts. I want to be honest with myself no matter what," that's a hard thing. You can desire that, but when you know the work it takes to do such a thing, it's very difficult. You have to ask yourself hard questions, and it's not pretty. It's hurtful. You have to hurt yourself so much as you try to find the truth, But you finally realize I deserve to be honest with myself. More importantly, I owe it to myself. We say as INFJs that we look after others' needs, and that's because we are honestly caring for someone else. We see people honestly. We see them as human beings who have needs and wants and desires. We can see them as flawed people who need help. But we don't see ourselves the same way, do we? You think you're above others. You can give others what they need, but no one can adequately give you what you need. It's actually a twisted form of pride because you think you're above all that. I thought I was above all that. I don't need all that stuff. I'm bigger and better than that. My needs are so special that no one knows how to give me what I need. And that's what I was thinking inside. I didn't say it out loud, but the thoughts were there. The biggest problem with me is, and always has been, I never liked myself enough to be honest about what I really needed. I desired it, but in my mind, no one was special enough to give those things to me. That's the lie I told myself. And it gave me the excuse I needed to blame someone else when things went wrong in my life. My needs are not much different than anyone else. Fulfilling relationships, acceptance for who I am, understanding, time to be myself, creative pursuits which not only feed my soul but bring others joy as well, taking care of my health, and so on. We all have these needs as human beings. So why do I think I'm any different? So the day and hour when I can be honest with myself, and I can look at myself in the mirror and see myself as a flawed individual, that is extremely liberating. And I find it sad when people don't get to that point in their lives because yes, it's hard, but there's so much freedom in it. When you see yourself as a flawed person, then you can truly look at people with even more compassion because you're just like them. As humans, we have the same flaws and problems and needs and wants, and you don't put yourself up above others anymore. You see yourself on their same level. The playing field is even, and you're all playing on the same team. You're not watching from the press box anymore. You're down on the field with dirt in your face, just like everybody else. It's to see yourself as you see other people. You realize, I have things I need as well. I need to take care of myself, and that's how you can start loving yourself because you're honest then. I need what other people need. I'm not better than that, and I'm not too good to say it. I could finally admit that to myself. And I'm not above relationships. And maybe that sounds silly, but I've read comments from those who say they don't need other people, and that's not correct. Because there's a pride there that you think you're above relationships. There is no human being in this earth that is above relationships. We need others in our lives for so many different reasons. No one is above a relationship. Someone left me a comment recently where she said, I'm always swimming in my head, asking who I am, but I never walk away from an afternoon with my best friend of 20 years wondering who I am. She's got that right. Intimacy is grounding. Self is found in true intimacy with another. This not seeing yourself honestly leads to demise. The ones who think they don't need relationships end up being cynical and bitter. It's selfish. It leads to destruction. Instead of taking that path, see yourself in an honest light. Put yourself in the shoes of the rest of the people around you. It's liberating. I have put these false expectations on myself my whole life. I've pretended to be this person that I'm not. To finally look in the mirror, and I know this is graphic, but to take the knife and brutally stab that person to death is the best thing you can do for yourself. It's to finally live. To let go of all that stuff is to finally live for the first time. To be honest with myself was the first time in my whole life I ever tasted freedom. Because up until that point, I had been in slavery to myself. The first time you say, I'm going to be honest with myself, that's how you love yourself. Because you then care about yourself to want what's best for you, to see what's best for you, to know what you need, to not have that false pride of not needing others. So you can ask for help from people you love. You can start to trust people you love. all these things come tumbling down, all these things you've done to yourself. You can then lean on others. You can get support from other people. You can accept their criticisms, whereas before, you couldn't do that. Because to accept help on that level, you have to first humble yourself. To love yourself is to honestly see your strengths and weaknesses. It's to stop posturing by saying your INFJ type is a curse and you hate it. I've seen comments from people who say if you like the fact that you're an INFJ, you must not be an INFJ, and that's ridiculous. I'd say if you're unhappy about the fact that you're an INFJ, then you're a sad INFJ and you need to figure out who you really are and what's your purpose in life. To love yourself is to develop your strengths because you know they are needed out there. It's to not wade in the muck when your gifts are rejected, but to instead brush yourself off and get back out there. And it is a struggle. I know that. I will be working on this for the rest of my life. I'm honest about it. This isn't something that one day I just looked in the mirror and I had it all figured out. I'm still dying to that self every day. I'm still a hypocrite. I still know I'm a hypocrite, but the difference now is that before I would have denied it. Nope, you're not a hypocrite. That's the other person. That's not you. Now I'm like, yep, you're a hypocrite. And I can see it myself and I'm convicted immediately, and at least then I have the chance to try to do something about it. It's still hard. It's a choice I have to make all the time to be honest with myself. But every time I do, I'm so satisfied. I want the truth about myself, not some lie I've made up to make myself feel better. It has made my life infinitely better, this being honest with myself. My life is still not where I want it to be. I still have things in my life that I have to do business with, just like all of us do. I'm working through those things, but I'm trying to be more honest in it. And I finally realized that's how I love myself. To love myself is to be honest with myself. And to do that is to finally live at peace with yourself.